How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal. And comic book video games had a real tough road to hoe on the NES, right? A lot of them were unfortunately published by Acclaim / LJN, because everybody knew LJN was honestly the Ultra Games to Acclaim's Konami. That is an awful comparison because Konami made good stuff, and the Ultra Games stuff was by and large good. There was some duds there too, but Acclaim made a bunch of games, right? A lot of licensed stuff, and they used LJN to pump out even more of those games. And today's game is an example of that. It's a licensed title, playing off of the Acclaim / LJN Marvel license. We talked about a couple of those games earlier this year with the Uncanny X-Men, which was... what was that? I don't understand. And then following that up with Wolverine, which also a bit better, but still, what was that? Today's game is the very first NES game, actually the only NES game, starring our favorite wall crawler, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And it also begs the question, what was that? Today, we're going to take a quick look at Spider-Man, Return of the Sinister Six. Alright, so you play as young Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, I'm sorry. You play as Spider-Man. Spider-Man has to contend with the Sinister Six, who are being led by Dr. Octopus. The Sinister Six are Electro, Sandman, Mysterio, Vulture, Hobgoblin, and the aforementioned Dr. Octopus. And you have to stop them from following through with Doc Ock's plan to take over the world. It's 6 levels. Each one has one of the Sinister Six as a boss. And honestly, most of the levels are the same thing. It's just different coat of paint on each one of them, which wouldn't be so bad if everything wasn't just so full of jank. Like, the control in this game is typical LJN Bit Studio garbage. This game is absolutely on the bad side of mediocre, and it's on full display, you know? But it is, I will say, it's probably out of the 3 Marvel games that were published by LJN, this one's probably the best. That ain't really saying much though. It's a rough game. It's a rough thing to control. Some of the control is pretty bad in this one because you only had 2 buttons and you were doing jump kicks you were doing jump kicks, you were jumping. Also, any game developer that makes B the jump button on an NES game, they were bad people. That let's just put that out there real quick. If B was your jump button on an NES game, or if up was your jump button on an NES game, you were a bad person. Everyone knows you use A to jump. It was established by the little Italian dude with the big mustache. The more I try to contend with this game though, I am faced with a couple of things. The most important being that this is still better than a lot of stuff published by LJN and Acclaim. This could have been so much worse. But it's what we got. It's what we had to contend with. It's what we had to deal with. So, here we are. Now, if you decide you want a copy of Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Six, after doing a little math and averaging out some stuff, about $20 is the average for a loose cart. And honestly, it's the absolute most I will advise you to pay for this. This game is rough. If you want to play a Spider-Man game, there are a lot of better things out there. LJN published Maximum Carnage. It's a beat 'em up, and it's probably one of the better superhero beat 'em ups of the 16-bit era. You got Spider-Man the arcade game from Sega. If you can find a ROM of it, it's fantastic. Really underrated. If you can find, any of the Marvel beat 'em up fighting games, the PlayStation Spider-Man games, those are great. The Sega CD Spider-Man game, it's great. Spider-Man Web of Fire for the 32X, great game. This one, it's awful. And I can't in good conscience tell you that this game is worth spending any money on. Because there are lots of better Spider-Man games that you could spend money on. Go get one of those. You'll thank me. This has been the 8-Bit Animal, and I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow, you ever think that if it wasn't for Konami, Capcom wouldn't have ended up making Street Fighter in '87? I do.